guys, what's going on? Tennessee.Frank here. In my last video I kind of showed everybody how you can have the same look on your desktop, but under the surface it can be completely different with Linux. You can have totally different package managers, so totally different repositories. I mean, you're pulling information from different sources. This time I want to show how you can have the same base, which we're going to go Ubuntu, but have totally different look. I mean, your desktop's going to be totally different. It's going to have a total different look and feel. I think this is one of the things that really confuse a lot of the Windows and Mac users. When they install Windows, you pretty much get one desktop and there's one underlying system. Same with Mac. Mac, you get one desktop look and feel, one underlying system. Linux is not like that. Unfortunately, I think a lot of Windows and Mac users think Linux is just one thing. You know, you got Windows, you have Mac, and you have Linux. Linux is a multitude of things. You have different desktop environments, there's different package managers, there's different base systems. We saw you can have Debian, Ubuntu, OpenSUSE, there's Fedora. You have ones based on Arch. You can get ones based on Gentoo if you're really a masochist and like beating yourself up. Gentoo's not that easy. It's a difficult distro. There's a lot of different core Linux systems you can run. And then on top of that, you have your desktop environment. You get really lightweight desktop environments. You can have ones that have no panel or anything at all. You basically right-click and get a menu on the desktop, and that's where you go from. There's no panel with a clock and all the little widgets and menus and stuff you're used to. And then you can get ones that are like Kubuntu, that are semi-Windows looking. There's Matei, which is not a bad looking distro. Anything with Matei in it is pretty good. You have real lightweight ones like LXDE and LXQT, and then you got XFCE, which is an old standard. There's the GNOME desktop environment. Now it's GNOME 3, which I personally don't care for, but a lot of people love it. And like we'll see in the example, Ubuntu has moved from their Unity desktop to GNOME 3. I guess it just makes things easier for them. They don't have to develop for Unity anymore. But we're going to take a look at 4 different Ubuntu distros, or Ubuntu spins. They're all going to be Ubuntu under the hood. But you're going to see they're going to look very different. They're going to act very different as far as menus and what they do. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Alright, the first distro we are going to take a look at is going to be Ubuntu 18.04.2, or what I term Ubuntu proper. I mean, this is the basic Ubuntu. They've moved away from Unity, which Unity looked very similar to this, but they moved to GNOME 3. And I'm going to try to set all these up so they're similar. I'm running it at a 1440 by 900 resolution, and got my simple screen recorder set up so it'll just capture this screen. One thing about Ubuntu that they do out of the box, and this is everything we look at is going to be just like it is installed. I've done updates and upgrades, but other than that I've not touched anything. You can do a Control Alt and hit T, and it'll pull up your terminal, which it should. Well, let's try that again. Control Alt T. There it is. Just took a second. I've only given this 1 core of my CPU and 2 gigs of my RAM, so it may be a little bit laggy. But you can see we're in VirtualBox here. If we do a uname tac A, you can see what kernel we're running. 418.0 tac 25 generic. So they are running 418. This is just your basic Ubuntu. If you want to see everything installed, you can hit your applications, click all, and here's what you get out of the box. So you can also do a minimum install. which I normally will do a minimal install because I don't use half the things that they give you here. But you can see you got like a software updater. They do give you Shotwell out of the box, simple scan. Here's all your settings, which you can pull up. Of course, here's 1440 by 9 is what I got her set at. You can set up your keyboard, shortcuts, mouse and touchpad. You can go in here and set up your printers. Tell what to do with removable media. If you got Thunderbolt, which we don't on this system, you can control it here. Do different things here for color. But yeah, this is where you get all of your system settings. You know, if you want to change your background, you can click into here, and they give you a few different backgrounds. So we can see if we can expand it. Doesn't look like we can. But yeah, there's a few different backgrounds that are installed out of the box. So if you don't care for this background, let's say you want something more deserty, you hit select. You know, now we got a different background, makes it look a little nicer. They have set this up where you can right click, make a new folder. So you can create folders here, do stuff on the desktop, which is nice. I like something where I can work off of my desktop. Then you can go ahead and move to trash, which I think you can set up default too, but we're not going to get into that. I'm just mainly going over what you get out of the box, just to kind of give you an overview. You do have a control panel over here, and you see we have a wired connection. You can get to your control panel from here also. See, here's all your control panel. You can control your sound, your volume over here. Off and on switch is over here. So it makes it handy. They do still have Amazon on here, but it's not pulling stuff from Amazon like earlier. All it does is just open Firefox and take you to the Amazon website. Which, if you shop Amazon like I do, I mean, it's kind of handy. I mean, I don't have a problem with it. They do have a help button here. If you need any information, I mean, there's a help guide, tips and tricks, your system, your network, you know, just little information to kind of help guide you, which is good if you're a new user. I mean, this comes in handy. Here's your files, which most of the stuff you see is, you know, what you get out of the box with most Linux distros. They do have snap packs in this also, so you can do snap. But yeah, that's just a real quick little look around at your Ubuntu proper with GNOME 3. Like I said, I'm not real crazy about GNOME 3, but it's very similar to Unity, which is where I started. All those years ago, it was Ubuntu 12.04 with Unity, and that's where I got my start with Linux. So, you know, you download this, you run it for a little bit, try a few others, see what you like. I mean, you may end up liking GNOME. You may, you know, think this is just a cat's meow and it's perfect for you. If not, you move on to something else. So I'm going to go ahead. We're going to close out of this, and I'm going to install our next candidate and do all the updates and upgrades, and then we'll boot into it and take a look at it. So I'll be back here in just half a second. Alright, now we're going to take a look at the Ubuntu Matei desktop, and I know it's spelt M-A-T-E, but the developers named this desktop environment after a South American drink that's called Matei. So the E is kind of, they ought to put a little symbol over it or something to emphasize how it's pronounced. When you boot into this after you install it, you're going to get a welcome screen, which is kind of nice. It shows you extra software. You got a chat room and a community forum you can go to. They give you a little introduction. If you like what you got, feel free to donate. These projects, most of the people are doing this on their spare time for free. And if you can throw a little money their way, it's kind of nice. But yeah, you get this nice little welcome menu. And you can go ahead and uncheck it if you want, close it. We look around our desktop, you can see this is similar to XFCE, but it's different because you have two panels here. You have 4 different desktops here you can switch to, which you can't really tell right now, but let me open our home folder, which you can see you get pretty much what you get in every home folder. Now watch, I'll switch desktops. And then down here you can see here's desktop 1, here's desktop 2. Go back to desktop 1, here's our home folder. They do put the trash icon down here in the lower right. You can remove that or move it to the desktop. You can change your desktop background from here. We can actually kind of see what we have installed by default. And they give you a fairly decent selection of wallpapers. So here's the one we're on now. We can go to that one. That one looks pretty cool. And unlike XFCE, when you minimize, this goes down to the bottom panel down here, not up to the top. Here's one that's kind of window-ish looking with the tree. Here's your different interfaces, your fonts, you can set them from here. Different themes, if you want to change your themes, here they are. And there are ways you can go ahead and get rid of this off your desktop if you want a cleaner desktop. But we can take a look at our menu, and you can see here's all the software. And this is set up out of the box, kind of like I like it, where you have your categories on the left and then the software on the right. Makes it easy to find stuff. Here's your administration stuff, setting up printers, your networks, users and groups. Graphics, they do give you Shotwell out of the box, which is nice. Simple scan. Internet, you have your Firefox web browser, transmission to do your BitTorrenting. Office, full LibreOffice suite. They give you a dictionary. Here's where you set all your preferences as far as firewall and your display settings. They give you a tweaks, which you can go in here. You know, get rid of your home folder if you don't want it. Or show your home folder. You can put your trash on the desktop. You can remove it from down here now if you want. But, you know, set up your panel. Adjust it. Set your Windows behavior. Adjust it. It's all right there. Very easy to get around on this stuff. They do give you VLC out of the box. Rhythm Box will be your music player, which I like Clementine, but they give you Rhythm Box, not bad. For burning disks, you got Brazzaro. System tools, here's your terminal. System monitor, we take a quick look at it. You can see we're running 540 odd meg to run this desktop. Not as lightweight as XFCE, but still not bad. Not bad at all. But yeah, I mean, they got a control center, which you can look at here. This will let you get into all your different things you need to set stuff up. Matei is a pretty good desktop. I actually ran a Linux distro called Point Linux based on Debian. This is several years ago. Right now it's not currently being taken care of or upgraded or anything. It's kind of in limbo. But yeah, it ran the Matei desktop, and I got along, you know, fairly happily with it. Here's your menu. Set up your location so you can get weather. But yeah, this is a pretty good little desktop environment. If you need something lightweight and you like the way this looks with the two panels, and you can even get rid of a panel, move stuff around. I mean, like I said, it's Linux. You can set it up the way you want it. You know, here's all your folders and stuff. You know, zoom in. You want your icons a little bit bigger. Just go ahead and zoom in. Zoom out, whatever you need to do. That's a real quick look at the Matei desktop. And Control-Alt-T gets us our terminal. And we can go ahead and zoom in here. And we'll do a uname, TAC A. And you can see, once again, Ubuntu. And we're running 4.18.0 TAC 25. Same kernel and everything we've been running on the others. And it's Ubuntu. So under the hood, it's exactly the same as everything else we've looked at. But different desktop. So, you know, same but different. So we'll go ahead and we'll move into another one. Take a look at it. Alright, here we are booted into Xubuntu. Or Xubuntu. But I call it Xubuntu. The X is, I guess, pronounced like an S. And this is Ubuntu with the XFCE desktop environment. And you can see this looks very different from GNOME, from your base Ubuntu. But this is still running your base Ubuntu. We can do a Control-Alt-T. Give it a second here, and terminal should pull right up. And this one also has 2 gigs of RAM and 1 core. And okay, I don't see terminal pulling up here. Let's go ahead. Here's our menu icon up here. This is all kind of small. If I was going to run this, I would move some things around. I'd move this to the bottom, increase the size, which is easy enough to do. But we can go ahead. Here's our terminal emulator. And we can go ahead and let's zoom in so we can see this. One more time ought to get us where we need to be. And if we do a uname TAC A, you can see again this is running it's 1804 Ubuntu. We're running the 4.18.0.25 or TAC 25 kernel. So it's the same as the last ones we've looked at. It's the same kernel and it's running Ubuntu. So even though this looks completely different, I mean, you got your menu here. You know, here's all your programs, which it has a lot of programs installed. I mean, it's a pretty decent system, fairly lightweight. But again, this looks totally different. You have your home folder, file system, and trash on the desktop. You can easily get rid of those. You can go to desktop settings. This will show you some different wallpaper that you have available. We can go ahead and open this up a little bit. Sometimes these edges are real difficult to catch. Let's go up here, make it a little easier to catch something. But yeah, you can see there's different wallpapers that they give you by default. That one looks kind of cool. We can go with that one. And then you can go to your icons, make them whatever size you want. Go ahead, get rid of the trash, get rid of the home, get rid of the, you know, if you want to clean your desktop up. Panel settings are easy enough. You go into panel preferences. You can add more panels if you like. Unlock your panel. You do want it horizontal. And with it unlocked, I can go ahead, I can move this panel down to the bottom. And we can go ahead and make it bigger. Let's go ahead and make her say 36. Go ahead and lock her back in place. Appearance, items. You know, you can set this up. And then I can go in here, right click, and go to properties. For that, I can say let's do icon and title. And let's just call it menu. We don't need everything else. And then for behavior, let's go ahead and do like I would do, switch it around. Now when you open it, all your settings are here. They change when you hover. So see, we've totally, just in this few seconds, changed our whole look around. I mean, XFCE is a really good desktop. I ran it for quite a while. It's lightweight. It works really well, especially on older hardware. It's very configurable, like you can see here. You get quite a bit of hardware in here. We can pull up in Task Manager just to take a quick look here at what's going on. You can see how many processes are running, how much memory is being used. We can go ahead and say let's see how much memory in bytes. See, you can see 300 and just shy of 375. So yeah, very lightweight desktop. So if you have older hardware, let's say you only got a gig of RAM, it's not a bad way to go. XFCE, you know, it's a pretty good system. That's a pretty one. Go with that wallpaper, and you can install your own wallpaper. But this is just a real quick look around XFCE. Again, it's an Ubuntu base. You're still running Ubuntu, pulling from Ubuntu, but totally different look and feel. Very customizable. You can move stuff around, set it up the way you want. So we'll move on. We'll check out another one. Now we're going to get to a distro that's one of my favorites that I ran for quite a while, and that's going to be Kubuntu. And it's going to have your Ubuntu base with the KDE desktop environment. If you watch my videos, you've seen this distro a few different times. This is how it looks booted in if you do a live USB or a DVD. This is what you're going to get. And you got your install. And on this one, this is the final one we're going to look at. I just wanted to kind of show you how the installer works real quick. We're not going to go through the total install, but I am going to show you how it gets started. So you click your installer, and it'll open up. Give it just a second. And you'll get, you know, what language you want to choose. Of course, I want English. Hit continue. It's going to go ahead and detect your keyboard. And you can change that here if you need to. Again, hit continue if that's what you want. Normally, I will do the minimal install because there's a lot of packages I don't use with their normal install. But in this case, let's just go ahead and do normal. And we'll go ahead and download updates, although we'll still have updates even afterwards. And we'll install third party. Hit continue. Go ahead and let that get things set up. We're going to go ahead and we want to use the entire disk. We're going to click install now. It's going to give us a warning. We're going to say, yeah, we want to go ahead and install this. And of course, this is going to be installing to our VirtualBox hard drive, not our actual hard drive. It's automatically detected where I'm at. We'll click continue. Here's where you would enter your username. You can make up whatever you want. I'll go ahead and go with my name. Password, make it whatever you want. Doesn't really matter. Make it something complicated if you're going to have people around your machine. If it's something you don't really care, make it something simple. You can require a password for login. Since this is going to be on a virtual machine and probably be deleted when we're done with this, I'm just going to go ahead and log in automatically. Then you hit continue, and it will start your install. It'll start copying files and everything over. So I'm not going to bore you with the details from here. But yeah, after it installs, you reboot and you're in your system. So that's pretty much how you install. We'll go ahead and come back on the other side once we're done with all our updates and everything and take a look around. Alright, here we are booted back into our system after all of our updates. And you can see if you've watched any of my other videos about setting up KDE, it looks like KDE. I mean, pretty much the same hideous wallpaper you get out of the box, which we can easily change. Just go to configure desktop. I'm not going to bother downloading anything right now.
we'll just go ahead and grab that one. And let's scale and crop it. That looks better. That's a little easier on the eyes. You see with install, you do get a trash folder on the desktop and a home folder. Of course, I would get rid of those. Here's the menu they give you out of the box. You can go to Applications and click that. It'll, and then you can go ahead and back to Applications, which I don't care for that menu, to tell you the truth. And you just right click. As long as that's unlocked, you can pull up alternatives. They do have an application menu, which, see, this looks a lot more like XFCE or the Matei menu. A little bit more familiar. And then they do have my favorite, which is the dashboard, which actually pulls up everything on the desktop so you can see everything. I think this looks a lot nicer. It's a lot easier on the eyes, a lot bigger. You can kind of see actually what you do have. And they got quite a bit. I did the full install this time instead of minimal. Of course, Discover I would get rid of. I don't like their package management system. You have Firefox out of the box, which is nice. You got your KSysGuard, which we can take a look. System load, actually pretty light. We're right at about 400 megabits, which 400 meg, that's very lightweight. That even beats Matei and is on par with XFCE. So you can see they're doing a lot over at KDE to get their desktop down to where it's just using very, very minimal RAM to run the desktop. But yeah, that's awesome. Of course, it's going up now. I moved my mouse pointer and it had to record it. But yeah, we're up to 5 now, which still is not bad. But let's go ahead and we'll continue looking here at what we have. We got Conversation. That's like a little client. KTorrent, which is their BitTorrent client. I'd much rather run Transmission. LibreOffice. You're getting full LibreOffice. Muon's another part of their package management system that you got to get rid of if you want to use Synoptic and use Terminal. Because in other words, it'll lock you out of Terminal. Spectacle, that's good for taking screenshots. They do have VLC Media Player installed. Of course, we can open up our system settings. And you can see how they have settings out of the box. I really don't care for the way they do it out of the box. I'd much rather go ahead and do the icon. So way you can expand it and you can kind of get an overview of everything real quick. You don't have to search through menus and stuff. But here's where you do like your multimedia if you need to set up different things for multimedia. Displays here, input devices is here. That's where you would go ahead and turn on your numbers lock if you need it, which if you're running a desktop, normally you do that. Here's your workspace theme, where you can change your themes. You can go like with Breeze Dark. I like the modern theme, but I mean there's different themes. Go Breeze Dark. Desktop theme, I'll go ahead and I always like to change it to Oxygen. I think that looks a little nicer. And we've been over all this before. I mean, you've seen all this before in my videos. There's no need to really go over it now. But this is what your KDE looks like. And it's really, I like it. It's become my desktop of choice. Like I said, I ran Matei for quite a while, then moved to XFCE. Now I'm on KDE. I mean, you have choice when you run Linux. That's what I love about it. You don't have to be locked in to any one way. This is by no means the limit of it. These 4 are just kind of like scratching the surface. These are kind of the more 4 popular ones. But we'll go ahead. I don't want this to run on too long. We'll wrap it up here. And I'll go ahead and do my final comments now.
As you see, under the hood they're all the same. It's all Ubuntu. But they look very, very different on the surface where you actually interact with the system. And my main goal with these videos, all these Linux videos on a gun channel, is to show people that they have a freedom of choice. In the same way you have a freedom to choose, Glock or Walther or Ruger or Smith & Wesson. With your operating system, you have freedom of choice. You don't have to run Windows. You don't have to spend a fortune and run Mac. You can download several different Linux distros and run them, have privacy, have stability, not have to pay a fee for the privilege of running this distro. You get a lot quicker response time. I think you don't have all the background things going on like you do in Windows. And you don't have to pay that exorbitant amount of money to get a Mac, to have the, virus and malware resistance. You can get that with Linux. Linux is very virus and malware resistant. As long as you use your head and, don't click on every little email thing that you get. So, like I always say, either we stand up for our rights or we can sit by and watch them go away. You guys have an awesome rest of the day. We'll talk to you later. TN.Frank out of here.